What is up, guys? It is DMG here, and today we're going to be going over the best formations and possibly tactics of FIFA 18. So, with the formations, they're pretty much the three best that everyone uses. A lot of pros use them, a lot of just top 100 and elite players use them. Me personally, I consider myself an elite player. When I have played FUT Champs for like the full weekend, I've gotten elite multiple times. There was one weekend as well where I've gotten pretty much top 100. I think I only missed out just by like a few skill rating points. But like I said, we are just going to be going over the formations that are best in FIFA. Now, I'll also be going over the tactics. And with the tactics though, that is just going to be a one-time thing, mainly because I use the same tactics for every formation I use. Now, with the tactics, like I said, I don't really change it according to my opposition that much. I just change it according to my situation. So I know a lot of pro players could probably change their tactics to better suit them to what their opposition is doing, so they can kind of offset that or counter what their opposition is doing. But like I said, I just do it with the situation I'm in. So for tactics, I may put the speed up a whole lot if I really need to counter. I may put the aggression and pressure up if I'm down by one. It's the 80th minute. So it's mainly I usually just change tactics for my situation. But like I said, I usually just do the same tactics for every single formation I'm in. And for these numbers as well that I'm about to show you, these are mainly just the averages. So for the speed, for example, I usually go between 70 and 80 for speed. For passing, it's usually between 45, 55, 40, and 60. So, it's 50, for example. For passing, it's the same thing. For shooting, it's usually between 55 and 75 or 60 and 70. So I put shooting at 65. So with the speed and passing, with the build-up play in general, me personally, I like to go a little bit faster in the build-up play. And again, this is not chance creation, this is build-up play. So this is for, the first two thirds, your defensive third and your midfield third. So I like to do it a little bit faster just because, one, I like going a little bit faster. But two, I feel as though if you're a little bit faster, that's gonna give you a little bit more wiggle room. So what I mean by that is, if you have your speed a little bit up, if it's a little bit faster, I feel as though, let's say it's slower, right? Let's say your speed's at 40. If you see the chance to do a counterattack, some of your players won't go forward with that speed that you would want on a counterattack. Now, you could look to that player and send them forward, right? You can look to a player, press LB, and they'll just bomb forward and make a run forward. But that's going to be a lot harder to do for multiple players because you have to do that for each individual player. So with the speed being up higher, if you do see a counterattack, which we all know is very, that happens a whole lot in FIFA. If you see a chance for a counterattack and you see these players going forward, but first of all, if you do see a counterattack, your players are going to be going forward and you can do it. But let's say, your players are running forward, but you don't see a chance for a counterattack, you yourself can slow up the play. You have control of the ball and you can pass it backwards. It's not like your defensive mids are going to be sprinting forward. It's just going to be your attackers. So with the speed being higher, yes, your players are going to be running forward and they might be out of the attack for a little bit, and that might suck. But you can slow it down if there's no chance for a counterattack. You have more control over it. You can pass it backwards, you can wait, and then you can kind of just go from there. Whereas if it's slower, you don't really have a chance for a counterattack, even if there is space for one, because your players aren't running forward. So personally, I like the speed a little bit higher. For passing, for build-up play, the passing is basically the lower it is, the closer they are going to be to you for a pass. So, if it's at 80, for example, they're going to be a lot further away, whereas if it's at 20, they're going to be closer together for a pass. So for me, I like it just at 50. I don't really like to mess around with that. I like it so where they can be a little bit mixed. They can go further out, they can be closer in. Simple as that. For chance creation, for this passing, it's similar, but it's about riskier passes. So for chance creation, that's going to be final third. So let's say, like I said, it is for riskier passes. Your strikers are going to be making, certain runs that if you're able to make the pass, your strikers are going to be in, you're going to have a one-on-one shot. It's going to be a goal pretty much 90% of the time. But it's going to be really hard to make that pass, and you may not make it you can only do it maybe like once or twice a game. Whereas if it's a little bit lower, it's not going to be as risky. You can have a good build-up play, but you may not be having those killer runs that you could see for chance creation if the passing was higher. So that's up to you. For me personally, again, I keep it at 50. I don't really like to mess around with that. So then it does give me the chance to, first of all, see those over the top through balls and, have strikers make those runs, but also have them stay back if they don't see that. For crossing, again, this is not frequency of crosses, but this is where your players will position themselves for crosses. So let's say you have the crossing at 90, then you're going to have more players in the box situated for a cross because they expect the cross to be there. Me personally, I don't cross the ball. So I don't, well, it's not even the fact that I don't really cross the ball that much, but, I like to kind of pull it out, go back through the middle. So I don't really want players, or at least 3 players or a lot of players in one area for a cross, right? I want them spread out because I know I'm not going to cross it. I'll just cut in, I'll pull it back out, and I'll go back through the middle. So again, it's not frequency of crosses, it's just how your players will position themselves for a cross. Simple as that. For shooting, this one is frequency, so higher shooting, the more shots you're going to be taking basically. So if it's higher shooting, then basically you're going to have more players on outside of the box for a shot, whereas if it's lower, they're going to be waiting for a better shot. I do like to shoot a lot of long shots, so my shooting's up a little bit more, just so then they'll position themselves for a little bit more for a long shot. For defense, pressure, aggression, team width. For pressure, that's just how far up the field your defensive line will be. For aggression, that'll be how aggressive your players will go after someone with the ball. And for team width, that's self-explanatory how wide your team will be. I don't really mess anything with team width. I usually just put it, at 50. Actually, I usually don't even go from like 45 to 55. It's usually just 50. I don't really mess around with that. So those were the tactics. Hopefully that did help a little bit. I know on stream people ask me for the tactics and instructions a lot, so that's pretty much what I use for every single formation I use for tactics. I don't really change it a lot that much unless, like I said, if I'm down 1-0 in the 80th minute, I'll turn my pressure and aggression all the way up so I can try to win the ball back. But I don't really change it according to what my opposition's doing. It's mainly for what I'm doing. So on to the instructions for the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, and this is pretty much the formation I use most of the time. I actually switch between the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow and the 4-2-3-1 narrow a lot. It just kind of depends on what the team is and how I'm feeling with certain build-up play. But lately, this has been the formation that I've been using, and when we go through the instructions, this is typically what we do for like left and right backs. Stay back while attacking, that's always what we do for pretty much 95% of the formations. For defensive mid, I have them on man mark and stay back while attacking. Stay back while attacking, I just want them for more defensive support. Now for left and right center mids, I have them both on stay back while attacking and stay on the edge of the box for crosses. Now stay on the edge of the box for crosses, that's just something I personally do just so then they don't get sucked into the box that much. But stay back while attacking, I normally do that just because I've noticed players usually get forward more than they get back. So for stay back while attacking, that means, for me at least from what I've seen, they get forward and they get back, right? So even if someone has medium-high work rates, they still get forward. It's not like they, don't make runs forward or anything. But with stay back while attacking, that means they will get forward, but they'll also run back more often. I feel like they'll stay back at least a little bit more often. And, we all know how lethal the counterattack is, like I said before when explaining tactics. So I think this helps prevent the counter a little bit more as well. For center attacking mid, I have them on stay forward. And I normally do that just because, let's say, the left and right center mid are on stay back while attacking. If I want to counter, instead of just having the 2 strikers up there on top, just kind of playing with 1-2s with each other, I do have a third guy for added support with that center attacking mid. So I think that does help with a lot of support as well. So then again, instead of playing between 2 people, I at least have 3. And then for the 2 strikers, I have them both on getting behind. I normally, at least at the start of FIFA, I just had them on balanced. But since then, a lot of patches have obviously come out, so now I have them on get in behind. So going on to the next formation, it is the 4-2-3-1 narrow, and like I said, I do switch between this and the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, just depending on, how I'm feeling. Sometimes the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow is just not cutting it for me. I switch to this formation and it works really well. Sometimes this formation is not cutting it for me. I switch to the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Now, for this formation, this one is a good one to switch to if you're up 1-0 in the 80th minute and the guy's just bombarding you with attack after attack after attack. So this one is really nice for defensive support. And now I'm not just saying you only do it, when you're up 1-0 or anything like that. It's still a good formation, but this is a more of a defensive-minded formation versus the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, which in my opinion is a little bit more attacking. So with the instructions, again, left and right mid or left and right backs, stay back while attacking. That's always what we're going to do with the left and right back. Stay back while attacking. Now for the defensive mids, man mark, stay back while attacking. Same thing for the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Again, it's just added support for the center backs. Again, it's a more defensive formation, so it's just going to be more people back. For the center attacking mid, I have them on stay forward, and then for the striker and the left and right center attacking mids are on balance. Now the reason I have the center attacking mid on stay forward is because I've noticed that in this formation and in the 4-2-3-1 wide formation as well, the striker and the central center attacking mid are extremely important to scoring goals and for the attack in general. They are the most vital players in the attack in general, right? So majority of the goals, majority of the assists are going to come through these two guys. Now I'm not saying the left and right center attacking mids don't get involved, but I mean, again, personally, I don't really like crossing it in that much. I like cutting it back. So, left and right center attacking mids, they'll probably cut it into the striker or center attacking mid, and they'll probably lay it off for someone else, or they'll get a goal themselves. So, again, striker, center attacking mid, those guys are the most crucial for the attack, which is why I have the central center attacking mid on stay forward. I did used to have these left and right center attacking mids on stay forward, but like I said, I noticed that the two central guys were more important to the attack, so I just leave them on balance. Now, if you are or let's say you're winning, right, 1-0, 80th minute, the guy's just attacking you nonstop, I do recommend having the left and right center attacking mids on comeback on defense. Again, just more added support, which then leaves the center attacking mid or central center attacking mid and the striker on the attack, right? So then you have basically 9 people back. So again, if it's, I'm not saying you do that initially, but let's say, again, you're winning against some guy who's better than you got a lucky goal, you're up 1-0, you just need to defend. I would recommend switching this formation and doing left and right center attacking mids on comeback on defense. Now finally, for the last formation is the 4-4-2. Now personally, I don't really play with this formation a lot. I only do it when I have to change things up, right? So I've tried playing with it in the weekend league, I've tried playing with it in general, just initially playing with it, right? Starting out in that formation. It doesn't really work that well for me. But what I have noticed is that the 4-4-2 is extremely good against the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow and even the 4-2-3-1 narrow. And we all know those two formations are the most used in FIFA in general, right? If we play the weekend league, those two formations are the one we're going to be coming up against more often than any other formation combined. So the 4-4-2, like I said, is extremely good against those two formations. And like I said, I only use it when I need to switch things up. So, if I have the 4-1-2-1-2 and I see, it's not really working that well, then I'll switch to, like I said, the 4-4-2. And what I do from there with the player instructions, again, left and right back, stay back while attacking. We always do that. For the central center mids, both of them on stay back while attacking. I would prefer both of them to have high or medium high. So just keep that in mind. For example, a team this season, Saul and Goretzka, would be deadly in that midfield. They would just run it non-stop, I think. I don't know if Goretzka will get a team this season, but if he does, honestly, I would recommend having that team of season Goretzka and team of season Saul in this formation because that'd just be filthy. For the left and right center, left and right mids, I have one of them on cut inside and get behind. I have the other on just balanced everything. Now, it doesn't really matter which one you have on cut inside getting behind or which one you have on balanced. It's just, probably have the person who's more attacking to be on cut inside getting behind, right? Lamar has pacier, better shooting, better strength, better passing, better dribbling. So he's going to be the one comes out and getting behind, just then he's more involved with the attack. Plus Willian has the high work rates, so then he'll come back for a little bit more support as well. Now I have seen people put it on stay wide. I've tried that myself. It works occasionally, but personally I rather have it just on balanced width. And then finally for the strikers, I do have them on get in behind for both of them. Now, like I said, I only use that formation if I need to switch things up. So again, it's very effective against these two formations. Now, let's say, for example, you come up against a formation that isn't the 4-4-2, 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, or the 4-2-3-1. It's just something completely different. It's a variation of the 4-3-3. It's a 4-4-1-1 or something like that. If you come up against one of those and none of these formations are working for you, because probably 95 to 99% of the time these formations will work. But again, let's say they don't work and you're coming up against someone who has a random ass formation. What I would recommend then is switching to your opponent's formation. Because one thing I've noticed over the last few FIFAs is that formations are extremely important. I didn't really realize how important they were until a couple FIFAs ago. But I mean, I used to think it was 10% formation and then the rest of it was your players and then your skill level. But formation can give you a huge edge or a huge disadvantage if you're not careful. So like I said, if you're coming up against a random formation and it's doing really well against you, switch to that formation, just so then it at least neutralizes that formation, right? It neutralizes it neutralizes it doing really well against you, at least. Now, you may not have the correct players for it, so you still might be struggling with that formation or against that formation, but nonetheless, I still think it's very important to at least switch to that formation just so then it neutralizes it, and it doesn't really do as much, if any, damage to you than it was before. So that's probably going to be it for this video, guys. Hopefully you did learn something, and if you do have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to answer them for you guys. But like I said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been DMG. Peace.